All right. So without further ado, I guess we can kind of just get started with this and, not waste the dilly-dally any time here. Let me pull up a little presentation here. So first off on the docket, as is tradition, I did want to. Oh, thank you so much, Ayla. I did want to show off a couple of new features, or just talk about them really briefly. A couple of new things that are coming very soon to Curbside software. So on July 23rd, we will have custom marketing text messages. So that was a very hotly requested feature. So now you'll be able to make and generate your own. Thank you. You'll be able to make and generate your own messages. So let me just get my face out of the way there so you can see this. We're also going to begin two-way inbox testing, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a moment. One of the most requested features that we've had recently was Apple Pay and Tap to Pay. We are testing that next week right here in-house at Curbside. So we're going to be beginning testing on that, and we're going to have a bit more announcements regarding how that's been going, and hopefully get that to you as soon as possible because, oh man, I'm super excited to have that kind of feature coming to us. Later on this summer, we are also going to be introducing multi-location DoorDash. So right now, the DoorDash integration works for one location. You're going to be able to operate at multiple different locations if you have multiple stores. There's also the DoorDash hybrid model, which is going to use DoorDash alongside your existing delivery drivers for those days that maybe they're not scheduled to work or on weekends, etc. There's a lot of really cool things coming out this year, though. I'm super excited. So really quick, let's just go ahead and see what that looks like. This is an example of the custom messages that you can send out from marketing. As you can see, there's a variety of messages you can send, and it saves those into a campaign for you to use later. So if you really like a message that you sent out, you can just send that out a couple months later to a brand new list of customers, or you can just have this tailor set to your specific needs. Super useful feature coming out very soon. Let me get that back here. More about that as well. This is how you would create those messages. You can tag messages with certain little filters. You may notice it says customer first name, customer last name. You may have noticed this when you're doing the marketing. You'll see the little tags that say the promotional code will go here, etc. If you type that in, you can actually include these as kind of a custom way to include your own promotional messages or your promotional savings. Tell the customer their first name and last name. It's always a good idea to include their names. It's more personal that way. So those are some examples, and I go back again if you wanted to see it. Again, you can save this and put it into another message later down the line, and eventually we're going to be working on automating this as well. So you can just send it in at an automated date. And again, with those little messages, yeah, I know. I'm really excited for that. I'm really curious to see what some of you come up with as well for marketing messages. Not going to say I'm going to steal any from y'all, but it'd be really interesting to see what you guys can come up with here for your customers. We also have that two-way inbox I was mentioning. Some of you may have seen this as well from Matt's previous stream. So this is the two-way inbox. You can text a customer a message and you can receive a message back from them. So if you're ever having any communication issue with a customer, you can send recurring customers. Yeah, you can. You can set up to a good question by Janet here. So if you wanted to, you could send out a marketing campaign specific to recurring customers. That's perfectly fine. And just like how I'm showing on screen as well, you can send out a message pretty much to any customer that's in your list. You'll notice. Hopefully, you can see that on the right there where it says "Welcome to Super Suds." Um, you'll see the messages that got sent to them, so you'll know what they're replying to. You can see what kind of things they've been saying. If they have any issues with pickups and deliveries, you're all going to have your own individual way of contacting the customer straight from the software. So you don't have to have your own phone. I mean, of course, you have to have your own phone, but this is going to be from the software instead. So really cool feature. I wanted to kind of show that. So back to today's topic of the video, good old July 11th. We're going to be talking about our service options and categories update. So this is the newest feature that we had recently released just prior to the conference. Service option categories. Some of you may be familiar with this. This will appear on the customer portal. And why do we want to do this? Is because we can upsell things, detergents, fabric softeners, dryer sheets, additional options you want to provide your customer. Variety of ways you can use service options on the customer portal to your customers and give them an improved customer overall experience. These are also ways to increase your general profit because you can see the Tide detergent, for example, at 12 cents per pound. That adds up very quickly. And that's just one of the detergents you can possibly offer. You can think of many different detergents, many different fabric softeners. And I'll be showing you in this stream how to set this all up, how to make it look nice to the customer, and a little more. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on in. And again, thank you for the new joiners coming in today. Really excited to kind of show this off and kind of demonstrate how this works. All right, so we have our software pulled up. Hopefully it's nice and zoomed in. Let me zoom in a bit more here for you. So most of us are probably familiar with the maintenance and services, service options, and now we have a new tab called service option categories. Service option categories we'll dive into in just a moment, but I did want to touch upon some of the improvements that we've made to service options, and this will all come together. Trust me, we're going to get there. So off the bat, we have a couple of service options just as an example. I already made a couple of them, but I'm going to show you how to make a new one. Some of you may have not even actually seen this before. Service options are just upsells, like I mentioned before. So let's create a new service option and let's show you some of the new features about it. So, new service options, let's just call this one Tide Oxide for the time being. New service options can be made with a measurement. You can have no measurement. So, this is going to be done once per service. You can have it per item. So every single item, this would be perfect for something like a laundry bag or any kind of over the counter style item that you're selling to pick up and delivery customers. Good idea. We also have the per pound, and that's a really cool one. I'm going to show you how that one works a little later. And dry clean specific service options. If you have any dry cleaners associated with you, you can now give them specific service options. Let's just say for this one Tide Oxide, we're going to offer as a detergent option. So we'd want this to be set per pound because we're going to be charging Tide Oxide as a per pound item. The price per pound, of course, is going to be calculated for us. So we can just say, just put it at 12 cents just to keep it simple and in line with the other one. Or maybe we'll bump it up a bit more to 15 cents. And again, this all adds up really quick, which it's really interesting to see the kind of profit we can kind of get from this. On the right side, you're going to notice the no charge for the service option. Simply put, if you turn this on, it disables the price field just like how it did before, except the language is a bit more clear. This is just going to be no charge for this service option. Pretty simple. And then lastly, on the right, over here, you're going to see the categories. So we don't have any categories yet, though I'm going to show you how to make one in a second. We can assign a service option to a category. And that's just how it looked in the supersize example here. So you can see here we have multiple, you can see multiple categories, and that's what we're going to make. Lastly, while we're here, I did want to show the option of additional stores. So you can, if you have multiple stores, you can just copy this to another store, copy the price to all, add it to every single store at the same time with just a push of a button. Much more simple than having to go into each store and add them individually. Much quicker too. So just pausing for a second to see if you have any questions. I know I'm kind of going at hopefully I'm going to get a good pace for everybody. I'm not going too fast. I did have a couple of cups of coffee, so we'll kind of, I guess I'll slow down just a little bit. So we'll save this service option. While we're here as well, you'll notice a couple of changes have been made to the screen for services, service options, and service option categories. So let's say for your services, if you wanted to change to your wash and fold, let's say you accidentally have it at number 3, you kind of saw there. If you accidentally made something in the software at a different tier, I guess, you can up the tier. What this does is it is going to place this item higher up in the list if somebody looks at your pricing list on the customer portal. So this was pretty requested because in the past you would just generate it uh, basically every single time it would go to the bottom of the list. Now you can custom adjust it however you want. You can have the wash and fold at the top. You can move the comforters towards the bottom. You can use certain, dry clean. The lower number is always going to be higher on the list. So even though it says dry clean is number 10 over here for pant, of course, if you're looking at a dry cleaning only list, which we also have the option to do up here, we can see how that would look to a customer portal. So if somebody selects dry cleaning, we can see at the top, boom, we got number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. While we're here on service options, excuse me, we can also modify the item name and the price. So if you wanted to, let's say, change the price of bounce here, I think $1 is a little high. So let's change that to 75 cents. And if you just hit enter, it'll glow blue like that. So you can see that it's changed the price for you. Much quicker as well than just going into each individual one. So you can just go down the list and modify them and hit enter as you need. So many more improvements like that. It's really nice. Excuse me. Okay. So, service options categories. Let's go ahead and make a couple of them for this. This is our testing server, by the way, so nothing here is going to affect anything real. Just, kind of want to show this off. So we have our new category. Let's go ahead and call this category a detergent, just like how it was for super suds. The description, if somebody looks at the description, they can just think, what is this? So it's detergents, right? Detergents and soaps. At any time, we can deactive or turn this active setting off. So if you wanted to have all of the options in the category turned off at the same time, you could check that off if you wanted to. This would be good for something seasonal, maybe. Saving option selection. So this is a really interesting one. Let's say John Doe has a preference of using oxide or using an unscented detergent. Instead of having him select unscented detergent every single time, if you check this on, what it'll do is it'll save those preferences to the customer's profile. So he doesn't have to keep selecting it every single time. And this is what I was talking about when I was saying improving the customer's overall experience. Now he doesn't have to select it every single time, so he can just zoom right through to scheduling his pickup and delivery, get those done much quicker. Suggesting the single option limit, what that means is that you're going to suggest to the customer that this category is really only for one option. And this would be perfect for what we just created, which was Tide Oxide, right? So if you wanted to have a customer only select, let's say, if they wanted to use unscented or scented or Tide Oxide or something like that, you could suggest this to the customer. And why do I use the word suggest? Because let's say if a customer has two different bags and they want to use one bag unscented and the other bag with scented. Now, if they select multiple, and I'll show you all of this in a moment, if they select multiple options with a category that has this turned on, that will mean that they can select only they can select multiple, but it'll tell them to specify exactly how they want those dispersed amongst, let's say, the bags. Perfect. So after we've created our category, let's go ahead and create another one here. We can save this. Everybody, am I going at a good pace, by the way? Am I going too fast for you? I'm hoping this is kind of a fair pace. There we go. So we got two good categories here. That's fine. We can just go ahead and adjust one. So let's change this one to, oh, awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's change this one to something more specific. And I'm going to go back briefly to the service options categories because I feel like I kind of skipped over one little thing. And let's call this one services. And I'll explain why in just a second. And I'm going to turn off the single option limit here. I'm going to make a new category as well called drying procedures or something like that. How did Super Sense say it? Just really quickly here. Dryer sheets. Oh, of course. Keep it simple. Dryer sheets. Yeah, bouncer dryer sheets. Yeah, of course. There we go. Okay. So we have these three categories, and we can use these three. As you can see, they're all active. We can order them just like the other ones as well. So whatever is going to appear first in the list. And first is always going to be top left. So if you want something to appear first, the detergents are perfect, followed by the dryer sheets, just logically, naturally speaking, right? Now let's head back to our service options, and we're going to assign these to those categories. All of them don't have a category right now, and let's just take a brief aside here and to show you what that looks like on the customer portal. So if they don't have any categories associated with them, they'll be placed in their own category called service options. This is directly on the customer portal, so you can see I can move around here. We can select all these just like how they were before, and this is probably how most of you have it currently set up. So they don't have any service option categories, but they still have those options, of course, to select from. You want to make sure you could still do that. But now let's start to assign these to the categories. Make it look a little neater, right? Free and clear, we're going to assign to the detergents, of course. Bounce, we're going to assign to the dryer sheets. And you can see the kind of case use here. If you had multiple types of dryer sheets, you could absolutely use those as well. Fabric softener, we can put that into services. Or if you wanted to be more specific, you could even put that into something like a washing procedure or extra, extra washer procedures, something like that. Clorox treatment. I'm going to leave this one in services with no measurement, and I'll explain that in a second here. Um, get that through here. Hangers, we're going to put in extra services, of course. Tide oxide, the one that we just made, we're going to place that one into detergents. There we go. So we made all those changes, and that's pretty much all we had to do to set up those service options. Oh, my camera's getting a little jittery there. That's okay. You don't need to see me. All right. So now that we've made those service options, let's show you how that looks directly on the customer side. So I'm going to refresh this page. So scheduling a pickup. Let's do laundry only. Just scheduling some stuff here. So now that we're here, we have some additional service options, and this is what I was talking about. I can now select as a customer if I want to do unscented, if I want Tide oxide, and if I want both for some reason. It'll tell me with that little warning on the top that says, "Oh, you've selected multiple categories. Are you sure you want to do this?" And just let us know how you want to handle this. Dryer sheets, like of course, I can select balance at 75 cents per item, or I can not include any dryer sheets if I wanted to. Services, I could put in some fabric softener if I want my clothes to be a little bit more comfy. And if I want my clothes, to be hanged, I can put them into hangers. We also have our Clorox treatment, of course, and there's that per order thing that I was kind of talking about a little bit earlier. Per order is perfect if you have something, let's say, clothes you can't really wash very well, but you do need to provide that as a service. So per order is the same thing as saying that there's no measurement for it. It's just going to be charged once for the entire order. So we're going to go ahead and just put in some random information here. This is just our testing card, so no worries. Do, 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 do. All right, so as you can see, everything else about the customer portal is essentially the same. I'm just going to place my order here. Awesome. All right, so we've scheduled that for pickup, and I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly because most of you should know, or most of you know how to do this already. But I'm going to get to a point where we're adding those specific services. So first, let me go ahead and reschedule that to today. So order lookup. This is kind of a good case and learning point if you needed to learn how to reschedule something. So opening it up in order lookup, I can just modify a bunch of parameters about the order. If they have a promo code or something like that. I just change it to today. We'll go ahead and pick it up. And then I'll also change the delivery to today. Oh, and here we go. So we can also adjust on the fly if we need service options applied to an order. If the customer calls you and says, "Hey, I made an order, but I forgot to put in bounce." Absolutely. I can just modify the order before we even pick it up. I can just say, boom, I want to include bounce with this order. Simple. After confirming all the details, I can go ahead and update it here. And there we go. So now let's swap over to the driver role and go ahead and pick up that order. And I'm going to show you how this looks on the attendant side. Charge for hangers afterwards. So you can always make changes to an order up to the moment that we hit complete. And that's why I recommend in training to make sure that everything on that complete screen, I'll get to that in just a moment, but that's a really good question I can address in just a moment here. So while I go through this, I'm just going to hang that on here for a second. Just picking up the order. Now I'm just unloading it. Pretty straightforward stuff that everybody can, kind of do. There we go. Okay. So now we're in the laundry list, and let me get this off here real quick. So now we're in the laundry list, and just like an attendant is, we're going to be going through this whole complete stage. Um, After we launder it, we fold it. After we launder it, we dry it, and then we fold it, and then we hit complete. Hitting complete takes us to the services screen. Now, I can add the services that I want, and you'll remember we set up these to be per pound. So let's say we did a wash and fold, and let's give a realistic number here. Probably let's say 30, 39.78 pounds, something like that. There we go. So we had 39.78 pounds as the pounds per quantity. The nice thing is about our software is if we scroll down, we can see all the service options and we can change these as necessary. As kind of mentioning here for Alan as well, can we charge for hangers afterwards in case they say hang all shirts? Absolutely. So you can have right here hangers up to the moment that you charge this because we can't add any additional charges for that. Hope that answers your question there, Alan. So now we're here. I can, as the attendant, modify these exactly how I want it to. Um, I'm going to change that number just to make it easier in my math. It's my birthday. Come on, I can go easy on myself. There we go. So 40 pounds. Let's say we did 40 pounds of laundry. And obviously, I didn't do 40 pounds on Tide Oxide and 40 pounds on Free and Clear. I did something a little different. So, what I can do is I can put the Free and Clear. Let's say I did 20 pounds of Free and Clear as instructed by the customer, and then 20 pounds of Tide Oxide. And with that Tide Oxide, I used, let's say, I don't know, 4 pounds of fabric softener, something like that. I used three dryer sheets of Bounce, and here I can add in the hanging items that I used. So I put in, let's just say I put in maybe I don't know 10. Okay, so 10 hanging items. So that brings up the total to 8705. And you can see that all calculated for you. You can always remove or adjust these service options all the way up into the moment you charge the customer. And that's kind of the written rule here. So for training purposes, what I always tell attendants, input everything and you're done. Now, before you hit that complete button at the bottom of the screen, you always want to make sure that everything in this screen is as accurate as possible. I can't tell you how many times that I've received calls from people who've accidentally put in 400 pounds of laundry or 200 pounds of laundry. It happens pretty often, or not pretty often, but I say kind of often. And always make sure with your attendants to tell them, double check to make sure everything on this screen is as complete as possible. And the reason why is because that complete button charges the card. So we're going to hit that complete button, and there we go. So now that we've made that as the pickup and delivery, of course, we're just going to go ahead and deliver it. Now, I did want to address this as I'm doing this. Did you have any questions so far about the service options categories or anything that I've been kind of covering so far? A nice little tidbit here, the pickup and delivery confirmations update. I'm not sure if you guys were there for that, but we now have pickup and delivery confirmations. So if I was out there on my phone, I could take a picture or have the customer sign that they received the pickup and delivery. It's pretty nice. There we go. So last thing I did want to say and talk about, of course, we're kind of nearing about 25 minutes, which is perfect. Was do you remember how we set up those categories with the option to save those preferences? And again, let me go back here to show you that. So if we go back to our service option categories and we check our detergents, we have that save options selections turned on. What does that mean? We go back to schedule a pickup again. Go here, hit this there, and there we go. Look at that. It remembered my preferences. It remembered that I chose two of those options, and it's going to ask me again how I want to divide that. Um, but if I wanted to turn it off right now, it's going to save it to just use free and clear. So now it's much quicker for a customer to just say, "Oh, I already have those turned on," and just go down to my billing information, da 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 da, put my credit card in, and boom, there's your money. Easy. Much quicker instead of having them reselect every single thing again and again and again. Now it's a lot less, lots more streamlined. You can kind of go through this process a lot more, a lot quicker, so to speak. It even remembers the services, probably because I turned the services one on, which I didn't intend to do, but I can just turn that off real quick. So there again, there's the save option selections, and that is part of it. If we go to the customer that I just made, and his name is Test, I believe. There we go. So if we check out Test real quick, we can see his service options that he has selected for himself. So if we have a customer that calls us, for example, and say, I want to change something about my order. I didn't like this very much, or something like that. We can say, absolutely. We can modify their profile, head to their service options, and deselect anything or select anything, and it's going to save those preferences as well. So it's a lot more streamlined for that. There we go. Another thing while we're here, it's just kind of a sneak peek. We can see per person messages. So if you wanted to see what a specific customer was sending you, instead of going to the inboxes as before, like part of the previous testing, you can actually see this as well in the customer portal or in the customer's account. Lastly, as well, I did want to mention this has been a highly requested feature for marketing messages. Now you can see customers who have marketed in, or if they've accidentally opted out, you can opt them back in to marketing messages under their correspondence preferences. So that's this checkbox right here at the bottom. Now, if a customer is saying they're not receiving messages like for marketing, you can just double check to see that this has been turned on for them, because what may happen is they have inadvertently opted themselves out. But that is pretty much what I was kind of willing to show you there. Service options, again, are a really fantastic option for giving you the enhanced customer experience to make it more streamlined for them to make orders for you. They're an excellent way to increase profit because you're going to offer them upsells, and it's about marketing that what you want to do for the customer, and they're going to appreciate that. Inbox is not live yet, Jessica. That's a good question, but inboxes are not live yet. We are still testing that, but we're trying to get that out as soon as possible. I believe that is due on the 23rd. Let me just double check my thing here. Yep, on the 20th. Oh, excuse me. 23rd is the custom marketing messages. That will be you can change elements of a custom message. And for two-way inbox testing, we're actually beginning that on SuperSuds as well. So we're going to be back and forth between customers trying to see how it works, and we'll have more information about that as well. Really excited for that feature because um, there's a lot of features coming out here that I'm really excited for. So I'm just going to leave this up here as well. Is there any other questions I can address though regarding service options and improving the customer's overall experience on the customer portal? How can you see the photos taken at delivery? That's a good question. Not related, but let me go ahead and show you that. So if there are images associated with an order, let me head back to the driver here, and let's say I did a pickup. So if I did a pickup, or if I did a delivery, excuse me, I wanted to see the picture or get an image of the picture, I could go to order lookup. So again, that's order lookup at the top of the screen here. I can modify the order or just open the order here. And towards the oh, excuse me, not this one. It's the blue button here, right? So if there was a pickup and delivery confirmation, it would be attached here at the bottom, but I didn't take a picture of this order. Let me see if I can pull up one as an example here for you. Is there any other questions? Oh, Dan Melindy. Can you show reports in the correct pounds used? Yeah. So if we head over to our report section, that's another nice feature. Thank you, Dan, for teaching me to remind myself about what's really cool. So under the service options and service options sold, you can actually see how those service options are doing. So we have service types for service options, see how many pounds they've sold, how many quantities. If we open this, we can see this one order had a quantity of 1 with a revenue of 75. If we see the Tide oxide, we had a quantity of 1, it was revenue of 15 cents. There's a whole bunch of nice things about the service options that will apply into those reports. So hopefully that answers your questions. All those service options we made will be in those reports for you to kind of discern and see. So, will the delivery customers be charged more for that tide? The system is set to charge $50 more for deliveries. Yes. So if we head back to our service options, we can see here that the tide is charging them 15 cents additional per pound according to what we tell it. So You may remember when I was adjusting it as an attendant at the end of or the completion stages. So with that, that allows you to say, I wanted to charge 20 pounds of this detergent and 20 pounds of this detergent. So you don't double charge the customer for certain detergents, that kind of thing. So hopefully that answers your question there, Randy. So the preferences, when they're looking at a customer with customer preferences, I don't see the preference on the launder queue. Yes, so actually, this has been a hot fix that we're going to be deployed about next week. So, what this is talking about specifically is the attendant laundry list here. Oh, I don't have any laundry to do. I did all my laundry. I'm a good man. I don't have any laundry to do. Essentially, the laundry list right now does not show those, but we are working on including that. So that'll be out in a hot fix deployed, I believe, next week. Suggested single option. Okay. Yeah, I can really briefly touch upon this one. So, suggested single option. You're very welcome, Celia. So, suggested single option, Janet, if you look at the screen here, if you have that turned on, let me go ahead and go to categories here. Oh, to supersets categories. So, if you have detergents, let's say this is turned on here. Let me get that comment out here. This is turned on again. So, save option selections. We head back to the customer portal for detergents and we select more than one. That gives us a little warning that says we've detected multiple selections here for detergents. Please describe how you'd like to handle this in your laundry preferences. So this would be if a customer has two bags and one gets unscented, one gets Tide Oxide, for example. And we can tell them, please help tell us, how you'd like this done. Do you want both of them? Do you want this bag to get this and this bag to get this? That would be, part of it reaching out to the customer, or if they leave it in their special laundry instructions, that's how you would address it. So hopefully that answers your question there, Janet. Okay. Is there any other questions I can answer? I'm kind of gonna go in here. There we go. Seems like we're pretty much good there on a time. I'm gonna hold off here just a second for any additional questions. But again, this has been a pleasure. Some of you I saw at the Curbside Conference, and that was a lot of fun being up there on stage and being MC. It seems like everybody there's a lot of positive reception, and that was just amazing. Um, it was really a pleasure meeting some of you guys face to face. Because some of you, I know you all seeing me right now, but meeting you like face to face, putting a face to the person is an unspoken like a jewel of making a kind of ongoing relationship, and that's so cool. It was a lot of fun meeting you guys there and being an MC and telling jokes and quipping things and giving you guys prizes. It was really cool. So hopefully, next curbside conference in a couple years, I'll get to see some of you guys again or see some people I haven't seen before. Regardless, though, if there's no other questions, this has been Chris from Curbside Laundries. It's been a real pleasure being here today, kind of showing off this. We have a lot of exciting features coming ahead of us, and I'm really happy for some of the features we've been pulling out based on the feedback that we've gotten. It's really an enlightening experience to say the least. And thank you guys all for joining the stream today. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it there unless anybody has any last second questions I can answer for you.